And we are live. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the Forex market and the trading market in general. I hope everybody's doing very well on this Thursday morning. This is our last morning session of this week. Hopefully you end up having a good day yesterday. Inside of the comment section, do me a favor. Type inside what type of day did you end up having. Did you have a green day or did you have a red day? Hold on, I can hear myself echo. Hold on. Yeah, type inside of the chat. Did you have a green day? Did you have a red day? It was a big green day for us. Big green day for us yesterday. Super excited for everyone to end up getting inside of those trades. Obviously, we talked about it inside of this session on Share Vision and on YouTube. We had it inside of our Discord links and everything else like that for people to be able to take a look at and be able to take advantage of. But this is the place to be at. This is the reason why we end up getting into trading and basically do what we do is for moments like yesterday. We work very hard on being able to find opportunities of being able to make a big pop and a big move when it comes down to that. And I'm glad that people were able to do that as we go through. So give me 1 second. I want to make sure that everybody can be able to get the links. I'm going to go ahead and go through the disclaimer real quick and put that on the screen. And then after that, I go ahead and show my face and we'll go ahead and go from there. So I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from that education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understand that trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money. Also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it is not promised that you're going to end up making money today. With that being said, I am trying to find my Discord. Not my Discord. I'm trying to find my Share Vision link so I can make sure that everybody can be able to see exactly what we're doing. And for some reason, I'm not. Let's see. Hold on. Let me show myself on the screen. Let me go ahead and show myself on the screen. What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's doing very well. It's kind of hectic this morning. I'm trying to do this. I am literally posting the Skywalker EA on MQL5 for the first time for MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5. This is the first one I'm actually placing in, so I'm super excited about that for the people that are somewhat international that won't necessarily be able to see the links and everything else like that. Finally placing it on so they can actually be able to see the links, which is very cool in my mind. Something we've been working on for a very long time as we kind of get everything else situated. So super excited about that. Block, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you. Okay, finally I can see the messages. Perfect. All right, I gotta move some stuff out the way. I got like 60 links open right now. Oh, bam. Put that out the way. Move this right here. Let's see. Will that work? Perfect. I can't believe these algos been trading this crazy crypto market this well. Like I told you before, you got a hell of a product, and at some point in time, you're going to place a link on here so people can be able to see it, because people need to take advantage of what you have. But here we go. So let's talk about what ended up happening yesterday, and then after that, obviously, we're going to end up moving into what is expected to be able to happen today, and we end up going from there. Yesterday, CPI prices end up going past. We end up having big winning days off of the consumer price index going negative when it came down to that movement. Well, not negative, ended up being bad or not as expected when it came down to that movement. Initial jobless claims really didn't help it out either because of how poorly it actually ended up doing as well, with it being 225 compared to the 220 that they was actually looking at being able to take a look at. Going into this morning, on Friday, what we have is this. We have a GDP that just came out for the pounds. We have Michigan consumer sentiment that just ended up coming out, or that will come out at 10 o'clock. I am going to take a look at what happened with the pounds. I did not make a trade off of it, but I am kind of curious to be able to see how the market kind of reacted based off of those movements and being able to go from there. And being able to put all that stuff together. But with that being said, let's go ahead and hop inside of the big three. We'll talk about what ended up happening for us. Those movements. We end up talking about also what ended up happening with cryptocurrency and everything else like that. I'm going to start off with cryptocurrency because it was the first thing that's on my screen. Plus, Obviously, it makes it a little bit easier to be able to continue the conversation with Block because that's what he specializes in. So we'll take a look at that overall when it comes down to that movement. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure that I pull up my portfolio so everybody can be able to see how well we end up doing. Currently right now, I'm going to go ahead and just put this out here so everybody can be able to see it. Currently right now, we've done as a total 2,300, 2375 when it comes down to overall percentage. US 30, the FX strike and the VRTX system is done 123%. DAX is done 109%. The original FX strike before now it's 100. It's done 100%. We'll keep on moving when it comes down to that. It's always good to be able to see that we'll remain and be consistent as we go through and get everything else kind of situated. All right, so here we go. From a daily perspective, what's happening with Bitcoin? Bitcoin has been inside of consolidation. We talked about this market being given a fall, going all the way down to, I believe, 12,655. But I think that obviously because we've had a big breakout after being able to see almost 2.5 months of consolidation, there has to be some type of retest first before that actually ends up happening. The CPI data actually ended up being a positive thing for Bitcoin because it has a crossover with the United States dollar. Remember, if the United States dollar goes weak, then Bitcoin typically goes up. So we end up seeing that movement basically end up kind of retracing when it came down to that. So we had a big breakout at 18,240, fell all the way down to 15,600 since then. I ended up taking a trade yesterday on Bitcoin. It was actually the only trade that I ended up losing, where we ended up taking a counter trend line break where the market ended up hitting 12,000. It was at 12,626, somewhere around there. Ended up getting into that trade, and I said as soon as that trade ended up hitting, I was going to place my stop loss above 18,240. But I was going to be aware if the market ended up breaking a new high, because if it broke a new high, then it meant that I wasn't supposed to be in that trade at all. Funny part about it was I did exit out of the trade, but if I would have stayed in the trade, I would actually still in. I would actually still be, I would actually still be alive in the trade. But when it broke a new high, and especially as fast as it ended up moving, I was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and just see if we can be able to get a higher price, get a better percentage, and kind of go from there. Currently, the market has retested that 18,240 area, but it has not rejected. Once it does reject, then after that, I'll be interested in being able to take a look at the trade. We know that now because the stop loss will end up being above 18,240. We'll have to go inside of that consolidation again, probably go above the swing high to be able to make that move a little bit better. So when that market actually ends up breaking to the downside, I'll be interested in being able to make a move from there. But currently right now, there's really nothing personally for me as a person that trades it manually to do anything. But I will kind of wait and kind of see what's going on with that overall movement. I'm actually glad we got this dump now instead of rallying up to 25 and breaking it like it is now. Yeah, I mean, remember, anytime that the market does have a breakout, there's going to end up being some type of a retest. I mean, that rule typically happens. You're going to end up seeing some type of a retest. I think we're in just the retest phase of where the market is right now at this particular point before doing anything. Why is... Oh, okay. Just want to make sure. I'm like... Okay. Yeah, but for right now, I'm not going to do anything yet. We'll see what happens. You know, obviously, cryptocurrency is 24/7, so there'll be some type of move that will happen at some point. We'll see how everything kind of goes from there. United States dollar index. We talked about this, and 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 quite frankly, if you did not take advantage of it, shame on you. Let me explain why I ended up saying that. Market was in a long consolidation. It was in there. Let me do it from a daily perspective. Talk about how many days it actually was in before just taking a look at it from an hour perspective. We talked about the area where the market was going to end up having this huge breakout was going to end up being right around 13,282. I'm starting to add my long-term holdings. Add to my long-term holdings. Nice. We talked about how this market was in consolidation. It was in consolidation for a while. We ended up having a built-up support. We had a built-up resistance. We knew that if the market ended up breaking below 13,250, then the market would truly be in a bearish movement, and it was going to end up being an explosive area where the trade was going to end up being. Now, remember, this is from a daily and a weekly standpoint, so there was going to end up being a large amount of movement that the market was going to end up doing, and we end up saying that we wanted to be able to get out right around 1385 as our natural position for us being able to get out on this first initial move, because it's finally done broken the channel, which means that from a weekly perspective, and which means that from a October push perspective, what our expectations was that the market was going to go in consolidation, then after that start to be able to have a decision on what a move actually was. That's exactly what ended up happening. So that is 4 years running where we've literally seen that, where the market has found a support or found a resistance, and then after that it goes into consolidation in October, and then after that it starts to be able to decide what a move is going to end up being. So going into November, going into December, going into January, I believe that the market is going to end up being trending, and I think it's going to end up being trending in a downside fashion when it comes down to the United States dollar. And that means that we need to take advantage of pairs like the Japanese yen, Eurozone, and the pound, because we end up talking about those pairs were the weakest when it came down to what happened with the United States dollar overall. So I'm kind of looking at this, I'm optimistic, but I'm kind of upset because I know what I'm going to see when I look at the pound United States dollar, and I know I didn't take a trade off of it. I took a trade off of US yen. We did hell of a on US yen. We'll talk about that one as well, but that makes me kind of upset that I didn't take a trade on pound United States dollar. Hopefully it might have a little bit of meat on the bones. We might be able to jump into it from there. But from a 2 hour perspective, this move is pretty much over with. If you end up missing out on the move, I do apologize. Obviously, we end up talking about this one for a while. We end up saying 2 different positions: 13,282 counter trend line break, and you would have got in a little bit earlier based off of the counter trend line break, and 13,250 as positions of being able to place in your trades, and you would have been good. It took a while to be able to get there, and then finally ended up breaking out. But if you end up making that move, then once again, congratulations to you. Okay, we are officially done with that first move, and we'll be waiting for the next move to be able to happen. Okay, U.S. oil. If that plunge, what happened with oil? Oil finally ended up popping right back up. The crazy part about it was it ended up falling towards the end of the trend line, and then after that, basically falling back to support, and then pop right back up from there. So remember, when you have a block over block, if it falls down to support, it's automatically going to jump right to resistance. And that's what ended up happening. We ended up getting in at 88 the last time. I do expect that, I do kind of hope that this market give us a chance to be able to retrace a little bit before being able to jump in. Currently right now, I'm not going to do anything off of oil. I'm going to see how the market kind of reacts today, and then after that, we'll kind of go back from there. But we do know that 94 is the number where the resistance is actually going to end up being before being able to make a move off of that. So I'm done with oil, at least for right now. Gold should have had a big pop up to the upside, and there we go. Boom. Had a consolidation, broke out. We had 2 different positions where you could be able to get in off of this move. It says 1671 with the original position. Ended up breaking out of there, consolidated again, broke out to the upside based off of CPI data. End up hitting 1750 when it came down to that move. So you end up taking that trade for my trading group guys and the Discord members and everything else like that. There you go. You got another big win based off of that overall movement. I caught the second one. I remember I was upset because I missed on the first one. We talked about it doing a share vision lesson, and I don't know what happened. All right, I know what happened. I made money off of US 30. I ended up doing a very big move off of US 30. My mind was focused in on that. I did not take a look at gold because this setting doesn't have the alert to go along with it. Well, yes, it does. It has an alert with a trend line, but I have a free version of this, so I should have just did it on TradingView. But either way, move is done. Pop. That move is done with. We're going back to these overall highs where the market ended up going to 1800. Now keep in mind, I don't think, obviously with the market going to 1742 at this particular point, you're going to see this market kind of explode and start to be able to make its move somewhat quickly once it ends up going into consolidation again. And the way that we can be able to tell that, I don't know if y'all have noticed, over the summertime, and better yet, I show it with US 30. Let's talk about it with US 30. We'll kind of go from there. I'm going to talk about US yen first, but I am going to talk about what happened with US 30, and then kind of make a little bit more sense after taking a look at it from there. US JPY, Currently, right now, no move on gold. Move happened yesterday. Okay, so U.S. yen. Um, so we've been talking about this one for weeks at a time at this particular point. And hey, what's going on, big man? Well, you look like you slept good.
Hey, can I get a tablet?
No, baby, you done woke up. You take them. Got it. Yeah. You okay?
I want a tablet charging.
You can get the charger, but you cannot. Nah. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Say good morning.
Good morning.
I hope everybody's doing well. Say, I hope everybody's doing very well.
Everything's getting well.
Well, there we go. I'll go see this real quick. Take my charger. You see my charger?
Yes.
Okay. Go upstairs. Go upstairs real quick. What's wrong? Close your mouth, son.
What's happened with tablet?
Your tablet's upstairs. Your tablet's on the refrigerator. Huh. Take this real quick. I need it back a little bit later on. Go in the living room. U.S. yen from a weekly perspective. We end up saying a couple things. The first one was this. We knew that the market was a little bit overextended. We've seen that from the weekly being in the sell zone. We've seen that from the daily being in the sell zone. That's why transition trades are so important. You do not know what a transition trade is. You do need to know how to be able to use that to your advantage, because that's where the larger moves end up coming in. Quite frankly, long-term swing traders, long-term holders of markets and everything else like that utilize transition trades way more than anything else like that. That's where you can be able to make the most of your money, because you know once that happens, and if you do catch it at the right position, you can stay in a trade and don't have to necessarily move, and you can be able to get that long-term movement and long-term success overall. Now, let's talk about what ended up happening. Market ended up going up to 151. From there, the market ended up retracing based off of Japan kind of interfering at that particular point. From a daily perspective, market ended up falling down 600 points, broke inside of a trend line, started to consolidate. From there, the consolidation resistance was at 148, consolidation support was at 145. We ended up taking a trade yesterday at 145.04 with the thought process that the market will end up going to 141.70. Now, we end up saying 141.70 because that was the low of the natural support of, once again, a block over block. The market falls inside of the block, it will fall down to the consolidation support. From here, the market ended up pushing back up and retesting that overall area, and now it's starting to gravitate toward the outer trend line of this overall movement. Jeez. Let's see. Why is my trend line off? Then after that, started to gravitate toward the outer trend line. This is some bad trend line work. Jeez. From there, market, if we're taking a look at it, where's it expected to be able to go? We're taking a look at it from this movement, I would say somewhere right around 137, but the highs of this move is right here. So that's why I can see that. That's why I see why people basically are starting to be able to get out of that movement and take profit. I did not stay in it after that 141 area. The 141 area ended up hitting yesterday. Once again, sometimes you got to know when to be able to get in and be able to get out. We ended up having that one big move all day yesterday, and I'm super excited about that for everyone. 315 pips, literally got in a day. That's the power of being able to use the Vortex strategy overall, especially when you end up having big built-up consolidation. But the market since then has moved overall about 500 points or 700 points at this particular point. So we had that big break of steam after the market has finally ended up deciding that it's ready to retrace. So we know that the United States dollar is weak. We know that every other pair is getting stronger. We're still trying to use that to our overall advantage when it comes down to that movement. No move on this one at this particular point, but great job for everybody that ended up taking that trade yesterday if you was a part of the session. Very happy for everybody that ended up doing that. All right. I'm going to take a look at pound United States dollar because I want to be upset, I guess. Pound United States dollar. What has happened? Market. That's not bad. Market ended up breaking the counter trend line break. It's starting to be able to move up to the upside. Currently, right now, if we take a look at where it is, we are above the B. Market ended up having a very solid retracement towards the 5-0. There's an expectation that the market could go to 1.21, about 400 points away from this particular point right now. 2-hour perspective, market ended up making this big move. That was yesterday. Yeah, that was yesterday based off of that movement, and I guess the news ended up being pretty good based off of this. News happened at 2 o'clock. Happened at 2 o'clock. So what happened at 2? Okay, so we just continue to see that the market is basically making a move back out to the upside. Yeah, so currently, right now, is there something to be able to do? Answer is no. You gotta wait. Especially trying to make sure you have a good risk reward factor. You gotta wait for the 15 minutes to be able to do something. Until then, there's really nothing to be able to do off of that one. Let's go ahead and go into the index pairs. So take a look at US 30. US 30 ended up taking a buy off of this one. We end up saying that the market could move up to market could be able to move up to 32,850. You said potential buy at the counter trend line break. Counter trend line break actually ended up happening right around 32,720. Once the market ended up breaking above 32,720, then after that we knew that there was a large pocket area all the way up to the 32,850 area. We said that we wanted to be able to take advantage of that overall spot. The reason why we wanted to take advantage of that was because we knew that we had low volume that was there, and there wasn't going to be a lot of people that was going to fight against us when it came down to that movement. That's exactly what ended up happening. Once again, if you understand the Vortex strategy, if you want to learn a little bit more, please consider being able to join our Discord. Please consider being able to join our private one-on-one lessons where we end up talking about this exclusively when it comes down to classes and everything else like that. Obviously, we talk about it from a live stream perspective, but we don't talk about the psychology behind it and everything else inside of this sessions. Or at least we try to do it within a 30-minute session, but it's a lot more that you have to be able to consider. So if you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more, don't hesitate on being able to message me when it comes down to that. But big move. Market gave us a counter trend line break, big pop up to the upside. Since then, the market has moved, it's been about 1,500 points, 1,300 points to the upside. Went and hit, I take profit as soon as they end up breaking that counter trend line break. I had to put my stop loss a little bit lower in this area, but my automation systems caught this based off of that movement. I don't know if it will show, let's see, I don't know if it'll show up the chart. I left money off the table. I'm going to be honest with you. I left money off the table, but there was a big move yesterday. Let me see. I show it from here. There we go. I'll pull it up right there. So, end up having 4 trades, end up touching that 32,664, 32,427, and 32,432 when it came down to those movements. Like I said, I ended up getting out way earlier on this one. One, because it was a rapid push when it came down to that push. I was just trying to make sure that I can end up maximizing that. On this account, we ended up getting a little bit more on the other ones when it came down to that. So happy about it. Did exactly what we were supposed to do. Probably could have got a little bit more out of it, but did exactly what we were supposed to do when it came down to that. So happy for everybody else to end up doing that. What else? Nas. What ended up happening with Nas? Nas ended up breaking out after having a counter trend line break, kind of the same. And from there, we ended up having a push to the upside. Market basically pushed back up to the overall resistance. Currently, the market is at 11,658, so it's above this overall consolidation high. Keep in mind, Nas probably has the better chance of being able to continue being able to make that move because there's a larger high volume node or low volume node that has not been hit yet at 12,080. I probably wouldn't pay attention as much to US 30 when it comes down to the movement. I'll probably pay attention a little bit more to Nas to see how the market's going to end up reacting based off the 15 minute. If there's any type of good news, you may end up seeing the market may consolidate, maybe even today. But going into Sunday, I think that we may end up having a better pop overall when it comes down to that movement. So I think that we will see something. I think that we may see something when it comes down to that. Thoughts on XPX 500? We haven't looked at that one in a while. I got to update this as well. I know the last time we looked at it, we ended up taking that trade when the market broke above 13,780. I need to update this as a whole. Give me 1 second. Block. Let me see. Okay, free run area was here. Fail. Went and took had natural support right here, so we had a block over a block. No, I can't. I really can't do it like that. Hold on, that's not right. Okay, we have to consider that continuation moves. Counter trend line break. Counter trend line break. Okay. All right, so let's talk about where it's going to go. XPX 500. From a daily perspective, this is what's happening. Market has went through that consolidation that you typically get in October before being able to make a push. It's at 35.80. Market has broke out of that position. The high volume node that was close to that area was 39.29. So right now, block, to answer your question, I'm not doing anything until the market ends up breaking above or kind of holding inside of this area and getting up to 4,000. Once it gets up to 4,000, then after that, I'm going to take that big push from 4,000 to 4,100 based off of this movement. Now, keep this in mind. As we take a look at this from a daily perspective, we do have light volume in this area. So if it does break above 39.80 and does that with any type of force, then I think that it could get up to 4,100 and not necessarily hesitate when it comes down to that move. From a 15-minute perspective, currently right now the market is in the buy zone. We've had a counter trend line break push on both of these movements to the upside, and I do expect that the market will kind of do that again. Just gotta wait for a new lower low. We're waiting for a new lower low, a new higher low. That new higher low will probably end up being based off of the 2 hour. Now, ideally, what people would typically say is you'll probably see that the market will kind of make a move right there, turning past resistance into a future support to the double top right there. I think that the market could go a little bit lower than that if there's any type of good news, because the market has to have somewhat of a subtle type of retracement to be able to make a move off of that. So I'm going to say somewhere around here as that second area. Yeah, I would say the market's going to have to make a little bit of a retracement first. But we are truly trending now. For anyone to say that we're not trending now, we're not out of that consolidation phase, because remember, October is typically when the market breaks out of that overall phase, and it proved it again. And now we're in a truly trending phase. We're looking at mean reversion, so counter trend line breaks, let the market push up, let the market basically fall down to and get to a new low level. Then after that, look at being able to make the push out of there. But from a 2 hour perspective, I do like what I see. Let's not get it twisted. But I think that this market has to fall down one more time before being able to before being able to go into this area right here. Market has to fall down one more time before being able to go inside of that area. Once it goes inside of that area, as soon as it breaks above 39.80, the second time or maybe the third time that it gets in there, it's going to run. So we just got to be prepared and ready for that. And what that will do is that we end up basically pushing towards the backside of this trend line that we end up having from a long-term daily perspective. So I'd like to see how that kind of reacts based off of that movement as well. Um, duh, 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 but currently, right now, that is it. There's no. I'm not jumping into any pair right now based off of that movement. Remember, when you end up having a big blow off or a big movement like that, one, there ain't no sense of trying to be able to jump in and try to make more. Well, no, let me rephrase that. I always like making more. Let me stop by saying that. But um, it'll probably be better to kind of sit on your hands and see how the market's going to end up reacting instead of being super aggressive at this particular point and being able to jump in. I will wait to see how the market kind of reacts off of 9:30 into that 11 o'clock time, and then kind of go from there. But remember, today's a holiday as well in the States, so you may not see that much trading. And if that is going to end up being the case, then I'm going to turn off my EAs and just get ready for the weekend and kind of go from there. Yeah, because most of my EAs have already done hit their positions, already done took profit, and done moved on. And I say that as soon as I say that Nas 100 has taken a trade for a hedge, I'm gonna exit out of that. I am. It's too much of a pop up to be able to say. I'm interested in being able to take a trade. Hold on for a second. I'm getting ready to turn off my. I'm going to turn off my system. So, let's see, trading on Friday. False. There we go. Turn that joke off. Like, yeah, no need to overtrade. You like what you end up doing. One, do me a favor. Please make sure that you end up subscribing to Share Vision, and make sure that you end up helping us out when it comes down to those links and download and everything. I mean, not download, and following us on Share Vision. We are trying to push that community up and everything else like that. Same thing with YouTube. For the people that are watching on YouTube, thanks for being able to watch on YouTube. Obviously, for some reason, my algorithm, or some reason, I be getting my butt kicked on this algorithm on YouTube, and hopefully we can be able to figure out a way to be able to make that work, because it's too much good information that's just being laid on the wayside when it comes down to that. But like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade your plan. Remember, you got to create your own luck, so you got to be a risk taker. I'll see each and every one of y'all on Sunday. Well, I'll see each and every one of y'all on Monday video. For the Discord members, obviously, we'll see you in the Sunday talk box. Everybody, take it easy.